What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Call the Damn Leads, the show by sales professionals for sales professionals. I'm your host, Drewbie Wilson. With more than 2 decades in sales, I've been through it, seen it, heard about it. Now I'm bringing it to you, my favorite people in the world, the sales community, because let's be honest, this is the greatest job on earth. Doesn't matter where you come from, what background, what personality, you can create an amazing life in sales as long as you're doing the work and calling the damn leads. Just like my new friend, Mr. Martin Salama. How are you today, brother?
Drewbie, I'm great. I'm so excited to see you again, and I'm excited to be here with you.
Well, I am excited to have you on the show. I was just looking over your profile a little bit, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody because I always like to just jump right in, man. Let's get right to your crazy story.
So I'm going to tell you a crazy story that's really old. It's like 30 plus years old. So I've always been in sales when I was a kid, when I was I was a businessman, but really I was a salesman for my own companies. I was always in sales. And I always felt like one of the most important things you had to do was to be relatable to the people. Like, it's not as much as you want to sell them your item, if it's a goods, you also, they want to know that you care about them before. So, I go on these sales calls. And sometimes I have a dietary restriction. I'm kosher. So I'd be traveling to places like Bentonville, Arkansas to go see Walmart back in the day. And to tell you, there was nothing kosher around there. It's, easy to say. So I'd bring my food with me. And one day I had my food with me and the guy's like, "Hey man, what's in the bag?" I said, "Oh, it's my lunch." I said, "Do you want to have some with me?" He's like, "Sure, why not?" I open it up and I'm Mediterranean. I come from a Sephardic Jewish background, so Middle Eastern. So I had, typical foods that have been, for me. So one is called a kibbeh, which is like it looks like a torpedo, a little torpedo, and it's got like made of bulgur wheat on the outside and filled with meat. So he says, "What's that?" I said, "That's a kibbeh." He goes, "A kibbeh? What's a kibbeh?" Like with this deep, Bentonville, Arkansas. So he tastes it. He goes, "Damn, this is good." I'm like, "Okay, great." So then I pull out the next thing, and it's like this little meat pizza. He goes, "What's that one called?" I said, "He's never going to get this one right. It's called lahmacun." He goes, "What?" I'm like, "No, it's close enough. Try it." He goes, "Man, these things are really great." He goes, "Why you been hiding this stuff from me?" I'm like, "Okay, next time you come to New York, I'll invite you for Friday night dinner." He's like, "What's Friday night dinner?" So I had to explain to him all about Judaism and how important Friday night is to a Jewish person. I said, it's like in the movies when the Italians have Sunday night dinner. He goes, "Like Godfather?" I go, "Yeah, like the Godfather." To tell you, after that, I broke the ice with him. He never really understood, like, he might have met Jews before, but he never met a Jew. So he was like so enthralled with it. I was waiting for him to ask me, "Can you show me your horns?" Because a lot of people think Jews have horns.
But I could see, 2 different cultures coming together, totally different upbringings, totally different understandings of, life in general. And yet that's the beautiful thing about sales, is that it brings together people of so many different backgrounds and personalities. And it just comes back to being genuine humans, sharing,
Exactly.
breaking bread. I mean, you can get all the way biblical with it if you want to go that far. But what's interesting is to know that you had to go into that very open-minded, knowing that people were going to judge you, that people were going to ask weird questions and go, "Well, what's that about there, city slicker?" So how did you, coming into that, what was it that you were able to do, or how did you work on that confidence to show up and just be yourself?
Well, because I've always embraced that knowledge of coming from New York, that I live in a melting pot, and at any day you could meet somebody who lives next door to you but knows nothing about you, and you've got to be willing to learn from them and be more than willing to show them who you are And that exactly what you said. We're both just two people trying to make it in the world. And if we could understand each other, there's no reason for us not to like each other or even love each other. It's just about reaching out and saying, what you don't know scares you. So why don't you ask the questions so that you can know?
Man, and I tell you, asking questions has been a consistent theme on all of my conversations today. And so what I'd love to know from you, in your years and years of experience in sales, what questions do you like to make a priority in every one of your sales conversations?
So yeah, so now with what I'm doing now, I mean, I've morphed over the years for a lot of different reasons to where I am now. But a lot of the questions I ask the people is, what is it that you want? What's your why? And to me, I break down the word why into an acronym. What's hurting you? What's keeping you up at night? And then we go from there.
Good.
Yeah, right? Okay, why is it hurting you? What is it? What's keeping you up? Oh, my wife works crazy hours. I can't take it anymore. Okay, great. What are you going to do about it? Right? And you got to, I like tough love. And the way I do tough love is with a little bit of laughing and a little bit of cajoling. But at the end of the day, there's sometimes you can call somebody out and do it in a way that they don't feel like they're being called out. And it just seems to be a gift of mine that I can do that with somebody and put them in a position where I'm showing that I care by calling them out and saying, okay, now what are we going to do about it?
I tell you what, one of the things I'm most grateful for in my life is my beautiful wife, who's around here somewhere, because she believes in that tough love. And there's been times in our relationship where she's been very blunt and honest about where she is in her journey and where we are in our journey. And, like you said, sometimes it can be a little hard. And also it's that tough love that helps us see the other perspective. It's what breaks through that barrier or boundary that we've put up for ourselves as individuals. And part of that is when someone you love or have built a relationship with is there to hold you accountable, they have to be able to push past that boundary. They have to be able to show a little bit of that tough love, because it's unfortunate that not pushing past that boundary is actually enabling you to continue to make excuses. And as someone, Martin, who I know is extremely focused on accountability, how has that become the forefront of your process and all of the things that you have going on and what you teach people?
So I think that what has happened to me over the years is that I can pick out when somebody is trying to rationalize what's going on. And then I turn to them, I go, you understand that you're rationalizing right now. And to me, rationalize is really two words. And once you've got to understand this, you can't unsee it. To me, rationalize is two words. Rational lies. You're lying to yourself that it's rational to say these things because you don't want to admit the truth, or that you want to hide from the truth, or that you want to believe that it's okay by saying it this way, it makes it okay to do it. So now that I've exposed it, do you see how you're making up rational lies? And I can use a simple example. You wake up in the morning and you go, I'm just too tired. I don't want to exercise today. Right? So you're telling yourself, I'm too tired, so I won't exercise. So you're giving yourself the excuse you need to rationalize that it's okay not to exercise. But if you break it down, are you really tired? Or are you telling yourself a rational lie so that you can get out of doing what you know you should be doing?
And what I really love about that is the power of words. And not just the power of the words, but the inflection, the tonality, how we utilize them and how we put meaning to them, especially because, as you said, it's like, oh, I'm tired. I don't need to work out today. I need to recover and rest. Well, okay, sure. At a certain level, there is a truth to those words.
Yeah.
And also the perspective is, what level of truth is there at this moment? And is it something where you are putting additional value on something that isn't actually there? And what I love about that is how that relates to sales. because the conversation that you're having, the words that you're using with your prospects, with your clients, and also with yourself are going to be a big part of the results that you end up getting. So how would you say that you've used that accountability when it comes to closing sales and helping people make the decision to move forward and like take that step?
All right. So I'm sure you've heard this before when someone says, they'll ask somebody, so if I could remove your objections of money or time or anything like that, what else is holding you back? Because usually it's the money and the time is at the top. And then they'll immediately say, well, I like it, but I have to talk to the wife. Okay. To me, that's a sign of them saying I'm half out. Okay. So I thought, okay, but is she going to understand what I just explained to you so that you could say it over correctly? So they're like, I'm like, if you really believe in what we're talking about here, so bring her onto a call. I'll do a call with her and I'll make sure that I understand where she's coming from. And if at the end of the day I'm not the right fit, I'll tell you that too, because it's not about the sale. It's about the relationship. Because if I sold you today and you're not happy down the road, what good are you to me down the road? What good am I to you? And then you'll have a bad thing about me. I'd rather build a relationship than make a sale. And there have been times in some of my businesses where something was going on in the company I was at and they were doing things that my client wasn't happy about. I called them up and I said, listen, my friendship is more important to you than my business. If this isn't working out for you, I'm okay if I lose you as a customer. I don't want to lose you as a friend.
The relationship, there's so many nuances that I love to this episode, Martin, by the way. I'm nerding out and I'm absolutely enjoying this conversation because the relationship building aspect is really, really key. And what I also love that you didn't necessarily say, but you said without saying, is that you back your people. You're willing to hold the customer and the client accountable for their actions and for their decisions while being there for your team to hold them accountable to doing their job and living up to their expectations as well. Right. And when I think about accountability, it is something that is a skill set because we have to develop it within ourselves in order to truly be genuine in others that we are holding accountable. Because one thing we've all seen and kind of experienced, unfortunately, is especially online, there's a lot of people talking about all the things that are possible. Hey, let me show you how to make millions of dollars and do all these things. And at the end of the day, they've never actually done that for themselves. And what I hear from you and can genuinely sense is that level of, hey, man, I'm not going to show you, tell you, teach you anything that I've not genuinely done or have the statistics and the stats to prove. This is what we can see. Because from an accountability standpoint, if I can't promise you the result, then I can't really hold you accountable or be that either. So what is it that you do differently in your system compared to like everybody else that creates the effectiveness of it?
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much for putting it in that way. Thank you so much. Because, for years, I've been a coach. I've been a certified coach for about 12, 15 years. Maybe I'm coming up on 14 years now. Right? And over the years, I would get into these coach to coaching programs where they were like, we got it. We know what you need. Come in, pay us all this money, and then that's it. You got it. And I am a victim of what they call out there as shiny object syndrome. Oh, that's it. I got to have that. That's going to be the one. And I pay all this money and I get into it. And all of a sudden I find out it's not even close to what I thought it was going to be. And I want to blame myself half the times. But as I look at it, I realize, you know what? It's really more, they're not giving me what I thought. They told me this was going to be a done for you program or a done with you program. And I get into them, Drewbie, and I find out, you know what they are? They're a done to you program.
Oh.
Right? So here I am saying, I have great information. I've come up with all these things that work. And they work for me. And it probably will work with others. So how do I show them that I want to coach them, but I just don't want to coach them on information? Because that's what I was getting from all these other people was information. And when the information wasn't enough, there was nothing more for me there. There was nothing to get me back. So I said, I want to train them. I want to coach them on information in the beginning, because that's how you get the foundation. You need that foundation. But after that, I'm going to coach them and I'm going to build my program on results. So I coach them on results. So what I say is, pay me 12.5% today, right? And then you don't have to pay me another penny until you hit certain benchmarks in results, in dollars, in success. Because now I'm saying to you, I'm your partner. I'm reversing the risk. I'm putting it on me instead of just on you. You still got to go out and do the work, but I'm here to be accountable with you. You come to one-on-one coaching in a group setting. We sit in there. We get into the work. We send you back to go do the work you need to do. If you come back with it not done, that's on you. But you're not moving forward. You're not going to get the numbers. And you don't pay me, which is fine. And I'll keep on. And I say there's two things I other guarantee. One, there's going to be chaos. And out of chaos, you're going to learn things that will work for you. And two, if you don't give up on yourself, I'm not giving up on you. And a couple of times, even when you do give up on yourself, get ready for me to be there to say, hello, do you really want this? Let's keep going. And it's not about me getting the next 12.5% to the next 25% to the next 50% after that. It's about, you said you want something. We had a connection. If you're coming, I don't just take people. I don't do the pitch and pursue. I'll take anybody. I want the person at the end of the day to say to me, Martin, I'm in if you'll have me. Because now I built a relationship with them. And then we go, how do we get you to where you want to be? We start with a roadmap. Where are you now? And where do you want to be in 2 years from now? You want to be at $1 million in 2 years from now? Great. How are we going to get you there? And then we start to build that stuff.
You know, and what I'm hearing, and feel free to tell me if I'm way off base here, but you can't hold someone accountable to a decision they didn't make for themselves.
Exactly.
And that is something that I think within sales professionals, if you didn't hear that correctly, go back and listen to the last 60 seconds or so. Because if you're trying to push your prospects to make a decision, they may make a decision, but are they going to hold themselves accountable to doing their part in order to get the result? And this is a big part for the coaching world, especially something I had to personally kind of work through because, man, when someone decides they're going to work with me, I'm hype. Like, to me, I'm all in. I'm going, all right, fantastic. We've made a commitment. Let's go get these results. And even if I give you the blueprint, the recipe, the ingredients, all the resources, all of that, at a certain level, the individual still has to make the decision to go and get the thing that they want.
Right.
And I love how you really just focus on that part up front. It's like, listen, I'm going to make sure you have it all, and I'm going to do my part to hold you accountable. And I'll do everything on my list of expectations and requirements up until you have not fulfilled on yours. And the goal is to minimize the people who don't want to fulfill by pre-objection handling all the rational lies that they're going to make for themselves. Thank you for that, by the way. I'm probably going to use that at some point, just being honest. These are all the benefits of having these conversations for me personally.
It's all right. I'm trademarking it, so you'll pay me something for it.
Hey, there you go. There you go. Hey, the trademark, that's a whole other conversation of when you create a process, when you know your stuff works, you need to own it. You need to have that level of accountability. And 100%. Man, that's a whole other conversation we could have. But what I really just want to go back to is that, you know, people will come up with a million reasons not to do the thing that they know with 100% certainty will get them the result that they're asking for.
Right.
So
100%.
do yourself the favor of letting it be their choice and decision. And as Martin said, ask those questions that get them thinking in that direction. Get them wondering, what is it that I'm not doing that I should be doing that will get me there? And I mean, man, we could probably nerd out on this all day, but I want to kind of circle back on the sales tactic to this. Yeah. Because I would be really curious to know for you, I mean, I'm guessing you don't close 100% of the people that you talk to.
No, I wish I did. If anybody does, please let me know. I'd like to know, what the heck are you serving them? What are you sneaking into their drink?
Air and water, my friend, the things they can't live without, probably. But that said, you mentioned, I don't like to do the pitch and pursue. I like to make an opportunity available and then, give them the choice. So how do you still hold yourself accountable to following up with those who don't make that immediate decision?
That's a great question. So before I get there, I want to explain one of the things I talk about that I do in my program is it's not good enough just to have the right system. The right system will get you so far, right? So when I was building this, I was like, what else has to happen? So the right system is me handing you the right blueprints, as you said earlier, the right road marks. So that's what I call level 1. That could get you to the 6 figures, okay? And it could. But there's a mindset, the 6-figure mindset, that's different than the 7-figure mindset. And that's a whole long thing we can get into. But the next level has to do with having the right mindset. So what I've said, do is I give them my coaching course on going from being a worrier, somebody who worries about things, to a warrior, okay? And has that mindset of, instead of I can't, I can. Instead of lack mindset, abundant. And I start off each one of my coaching calls by going through something that was in my course and reaching out and saying, okay, this is what I'm talking about today. Is it affecting any of you? Because as good as my system is, and as good as you believe in me, if you don't believe in yourself, all the rest doesn't mean anything. So I'm giving them the accountability there to take care of that part. And then the last part is you've got to be scalable. And most people don't understand what that means. That doesn't mean, okay, I can go from 100,000 to $1 million overnight and everything will be great. No, you have to have the right pieces in place, or the right people in place, so that you're doing what you're great at, not what you're good at or bad at, but you think you have to do it. And then I say, okay, great. We'll help you find those people, and we'll give you the thing. In my program, I give them the right CRM, the right customer retention management system, just for anybody who doesn't know what CRM stands for, right? And to make it even easier, I say, come to a workshop. Before you even come to a 4-hour deep dive workshop with me. That's $27 that goes to a charity, right? Because I believe if you pay attention, right? If you go to a free webinar for 45 minutes that you think you're going to get something, really all you're going to get is a link to get to buy their big program. And they only did was tease you. Come to my 4-hour workshop. I'll pull back the curtain and show you everything. And the $27 goes to a charity, so I'm not even making any money on that. Right? And then they'll feel good about making the donation and coming. And then at the end of that, you want to learn more? Great. Here's the recording. You stay till the end, you get the recording. Leave me a recommendation on LinkedIn. I'll give you the slides. And then if you want to work with me and make it happen faster, we do that. So I wanted to just get that out of the way. I wanted to talk about that for a minute because I think it's important for people to understand. So if I have those conversations afterwards with people and they go, this isn't for me, I go, okay, great. What is it you're looking for? And I'll help you find it somewhere else. And if you don't want that, it's all good.
I love the idea of making sure that the vehicle that they're in is actually built in a way to get them to the result that they want. Because the shiny object syndrome you mentioned earlier is like when you're walking through a showroom looking at all these beautiful cars and all these fancy things, but the truth is they don't ever drive anywhere. That's why they look so good, because they don't actually do any work. They're not being, other than sitting there and looking pretty, they don't run, they don't perform. And so that is something that I find a lot of entrepreneurs get that because they see, man, like I'm out here working and I feel like what's going on, and these guys are over here all shined up, looking flashy and nice. And it's like every time I look over there, they've got some fancy dinner or they're out at some place. But the truth is the guys who are doing the work, that are in the trenches, they got the dirt under their nails. They got calluses from picking up the phone 500 times a day.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And what I, again, appreciate about how you approach it is just saying, listen, the only way to make that happen is to have accountability, to have someone behind you making sure that you know what to do, when to do, how to do,
Right.
and that you're actually doing the things to do, because that's what's going to get you the result. And the one thing that, like I said earlier, I know for a fact we could sit here and talk about all of this stuff all day long, but I want to be respectful of your time, because from an accountability standpoint, if we went too far into the weeds, we would be doing a disservice to the folks who have already gained a massive amount of knowledge just from the little bits you've shared so far today. So what's the best way for us to find, information on your workshops and some of the different things that you do? Because I know for one, I'm going to check them out, but I'm guessing the listeners loving it too, and they're going to want to check it out as well.
Well, I appreciate that. And I've made it simple. The more you keep things simple, the easier it is for people to want to know from you, right? Whatever it is. So I have websites and all that, but really the one I say easily on a podcast like this is connectwithmartin.com. That's it. It's easy to remember, connectwithmartin.com. You go there. You can find out about my workshops. You can find out about some free gifts I have there. You could buy my book. You could buy my card deck. You could buy my course if you want, But the book is called Warrior to Warrior. Remember I talked about that earlier?
Yes,
and
sir.
That's what I do. That's the mindset part. And that came out of all the crap that I went through my whole life and not realizing that I was my worst enemy. I was the one that was getting in the way of my own success. So that's what this book does. And some people have read the book, they go, boy, you get very raw in that book. You get very vulnerable. I'm like, yeah, man. Well, don't you think they'd rather hear from me, who's been in the trenches, than Joe Schmo, who doesn't even know what he's talking about? So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I appreciate about having these kind of conversations with folks like you, because you've been through it, you've lived it, and now you've stepped to the other side and you're sharing those struggles, telling those stories, and helping people avoid the very costly mistakes that many of us make. And, they're still going to make some mistakes along the way. That's how you learn and grow.
You read my mind, Drewbie. I was coming out of my mouth.
But the fun thing is, if we can educate someone and we can entertain them a little bit with some stories and some things that we know have worked for us and for other clients, it always makes it that much more enjoyable to live and to build a business. And so for me, I'm truly grateful for your time today. I cannot thank you enough for the wisdom that you've shared. And just want to say thanks, man. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate having people like you that I can talk with who get it. And you're doing a great job here with this thing. And one last thing I want to mention. One of the things you need to do out there to call the damn leads is you got to know who the damn person is. You got to know who's your right fit client. Because you'll be making calls just to make a call. They don't need you. They don't want you. So you got to call the damn leads, but make sure that the leads are your leads.
That, it's funny. I always ask for one piece of advice on the way out, but I think you just nailed it. You read my mind a little early, because knowing who you're calling, knowing the people that you're interacting with, and knowing that they're the right person for the product or service you offer, that makes a huge difference. So thank you for that last little gem on the way out, Martin. If you guys enjoyed the show, share it on social media, tag us at Call the Damn Leads. Make sure you check out Martin's book. And more than anything, if you have an awesome story and you want to tell the world about it, we'd love to have you on the show. Go to callthedamnleads.com/podcast. Send us your information. We'll bring you on. We'll talk about all the amazing things that sales has done for you and your life. Because for me and Martin, it's created one heck of a journey. We'll see you guys on the next one. Go call the damn leads.